And welcome to my Benchtop micro shop. Today I'd like to shoot a brief video to go along with an article that I'm going to send to Mr. Jay Bates and ask him to place that on his website. I hope you like the tour. This is kind of an in-between 2018-2019 shop tour. Today is Friday, January the 4th, 2019. So if you've been following me, you'll get to see a few updates from my shop from the past year. There haven't been a lot because I've been gone working for most of the year, but there's a few changes I'd like to share with you. And if this is your first time checking it out, I hope you learned something from my layout. I love learning tips from other woodworkers and seeing their layout. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so this is my table saw station. This is the heart and soul of my shop. Now I have my entire workbench and all my tool carts outside today because of the lighting, and it's the first day it hasn't rained in like a week and a half here in Georgia. But typically I work in an area inside my garage that's about 9 feet by 13 feet. All of my tools and carts occupy half of a 2-car garage, and the total space that I occupy when everything's stored away is 9 feet by 21 feet. So a relatively small space, about 189 square feet. The other half of the garage is taken up with my wife's vehicle, and I have to honor the agreement we have for only taking up half the shop, although from time to time my projects will expand into the other half of the shop and evict her vehicle for a short period of time. Anyhow, you can see I like to have everything within an arm's reach, all my push sticks, blades, dado set, accessories for the saw, and then when I don't need them, I can store them either on the ground, over on my tool cart, etc. But let's keep going. Here's my jointer mount. This is something that unfortunately I wish I could have a more sturdy jointer. I love cast iron machines. This does the trick for flattening small boards. It is somewhat limited just on the size of the jointer and it being aluminum and then also drawer mounted. It works for me. I can use it to generally do what I need to, but not optimal. However, I'm also limited to benchtop machines. Immediately underneath I store my router table. I'd love to build this in at some point so that it's already set up, but for now this is just how I keep it. Generally ready to go. I just pull it out, put in whatever bit I'm using, plug it in, and hook up my shop vac. Moving around to this area, you can see how my shop vac is the power source for my dust collection. I've got a cheapo Cyclone that goes into a 5-gallon bucket. When planing or jointing, I fill that thing up very quickly. Otherwise, I can generally work for most of a day all in a 5-gallon bucket. But you can see that I have dust collection is integral into the table. The workbench is wired with 10-gauge wire and fed with a 20-amp GFCI circuit. And I also have 240 volts to the garage, but I don't have any 240 volt machines. All right, moving along to this end of the workbench, you'll see I have a small 9-inch bandsaw. One of the great things about having it mounted on the workbench is I can use the entire table as outfeed and actually support over 8 feet of material coming through this tiny little bandsaw. I'm restricted in resaw or rip height capacity here, and also of course I'm restricted to the 9 inches. Is that 9 inches? That looks actually bigger. Anyhow, maybe you care, maybe you don't, but I can saw up to, yep, it's 9 inches. Here you'll see my drill press table. I've got some dust collection here. This helps me get most of the chips or any chips I make. I can quickly with this hose and basically get them all once I'm done. If it doesn't pick them up, I keep all my drill bits, my chip brush, step drills, driver and accessories right here. A lot of times when I'm going to an offsite job or working on a household project, I'll grab my my bit cases out of the drawer. Check out the article for the pictures of up close details of these. I can take my bandsaw off pretty quickly. All I have to do is unplug it, unhook any dust collection if I have it hooked up, and then move my saw out of the way for larger drill press pieces. Let's go ahead and move again. Here you can see my version of Mitre Station. It shares tabletop here for about 4 inches with the rest of the work surface. I can support boards over 8 feet in length. I have 8 feet of total support, and I think 36 inches on this side of the blade, and about 70 inches on the left side of the blade. I have an enhanced dust collection boot. I have a video on that if you want to check it out. You can see the upper dust collection port here. I hook into that for any sanding operations on the table. I also use the main tabletop as an assembly table once I make my cuts. I don't have a vise mounted on this table. What I typically do is use clamps, and sometimes I'll screw things directly to the surface when I'm assembling. I would love to add a vise in this general location at some point in the future, whether it's on this side of the bench or the other side of the bench. Something I haven't thought all the way through yet, and I'd love to get a vise project going at some point. It is something that limits me for some of my operations right now. This is my planer. It's a 90-pound planer. Originally designed this mount for a 70-pound. Let me make sure I got a good camera angle here. Originally designed this mount for a 70-pound rigid planer, so I may upgrade these slides at some point in the near future. You can see that they deflect a little bit. I'm not near the failure point of them, but they are deflecting a little bit. And what appears to be an interference here is not, unless I plane higher than 2-inch material. And if I ever need to do that, I can just move my miter saw back a few inches and get basically full planer thickness or full planer width through with no problem. So that does it for showing you all my machines. Let's go ahead and take a look at what is the heart and soul for storage within my workshop. So I know a very popular project these days is an integral Mitre Station with cabinetry and storage. I did not go that route. Obviously you saw my solution to having a miter saw with a nice long in and out feed. This is just a rolling tool wall. One of the disadvantages with moving often is having to redo tool storage. So this was my solution to that problem. I can have a nice backer board for tools. You can see I've got plenty of clean pallet to make tool hangers and fasteners for. And then I've got this massive bank of drawers and cabinet here where I can store larger machines, hardware, sharpening, accessories, and so forth. Prior to that, this was my large tool storage. Let me just get a good angle here. All right, prior to building the mobile tool wall, this was my primary storage. It's just general sockets and wrenches and automotive type tooling for some of the mechanical work that I like to do. Definitely like to keep my maintenance do it yourself. I've got a few influential men. My father, who passed away this past fall, was a woodworker and shop teacher for 33 years. My one grandfather's up here. I don't have a picture of my other grandfather. I need to change that and get that up there. Both of them were very influential in my life. And then a gentleman named Jim Kokendorfer, who owned a hardware store, and I worked for him and his son and wife for about 10 years when I was coming up through middle school, high school, and college. I also have a rolling toolbox that sometimes I'll take to jobs or throughout the house when I need to, but this is where I keep most of my hardware and accessories. I do a little bit of metal work from time to time, and I keep most of my hazardous materials and finishes on my cart right there. You can see I've got a lot of tape down on the bottom. I've got some gloves and finishes up top. Keep a lot of my caulking and household maintenance type things, and some weapons cleaning supplies down below there. Let's get a different angle and I'll show you my material storage. Okay, I have an absolute love-hate relationship with this thing. It is a 6 foot long, 4 foot tall material cart. I typically store, excuse me, I probably just bumped my microphone. It's a 6 foot long, 4 foot tall material cart. I can store pieces for projects, like you can see right there. That's a clamp project I have in the works. You can see full 8-inch material, or yeah, 8 foot material stored down below here. You can see some tabletop material I have stored up here, some oak. This has a series of bins along the left hand side here for long narrow scraps, and then just whatever cutoffs I want to place. I keep jigs up top, and on the far side I can store sheet goods long term. But this thing is just massive, takes up a lot of space. However, it is nice to be able to store materials in for the shop. Okay, lastly, I'd like to show you my mobile air compressor cart. I use a lot of brad nails in assembly. I use compressed air to clean off machines routinely. Having this retractable hose reel allows me to access air anywhere in the shop, leave this noisy thing in the garage and actually access air outside the shop, or vice versa. But I love the cart. I've had it for probably 6 or 7 years, and haven't looked back since I built it. It just keeps all the air tools and nails and oil all in one place. Anyhow, enough about that. Now, having a small shop and an assembly table that also shares outfeed with machines can be somewhat restrictive sometimes. So what I do from time to time, when I don't just use the ground for cutoffs, sometimes I'll put another auxiliary table together just on sawhorses. There's of course some in-feed outfeed rollers too. I'll use those from time to time when cutting sheet goods by myself. For having the giant outfeed table mitigates a lot of that risk, or when I'm doing in-feed outfeed through the joiner or planer and I just need a second set of hands and don't have them. So I hope you enjoyed the tour of my shop today. I hope you took away at least one tip that you can apply to your shop, whether positive, negative. I just hope you learned something by seeing my shop. I love viewing other woodworkers' shops, and I always learn something when I see inside of their process. If this is your first exposure to my shop, I encourage you to check out my YouTube channel. I've documented a lot of the construction of this particular setup on that channel over the past several years. You can search me at Chris Harpster or Benchtop Woodworks or the Benchtop Micro Shop. You can also check me out on my website, benchtopwoodworks.com. And I'm also on Instagram. You'll see a lot of my shop projects that I don't record posted on there, or little teasers of things that I have coming down the pipeline. But I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this or read the article that goes along with this. And of course, if you have any questions about my shop, my layout, any of the decisions I made, or why I have certain things a certain way, dimensions, etc., let me know. You can shoot me an email, you can put a comment in this video, and I will respond as I get to it. But most importantly, I hope you enjoyed today's video and learned something. Happy building.